By 1913, there's a very significant concern about the rates of institutional confinement for the mentally ill in Ireland. One figure estimated that between 1870 and 1911, the mentally ill population in institutions trebled in Ireland. And this, of course, took place in the context of population decline. The main form of treatment in this period was, of course, institutionalisation. People ended up in Ireland in asylums mainly through the use of one piece of legislation called the dangerous lunatic legislation, which basically resulted in individuals being committed to asylums through the court system. The majority of patients actually remained in the asylum for less than a year in this period. We have this sort of perception that patients entered into the asylums in the early 20th century and never came back out again. In other words, they spent decades in there. This isn't true for the majority. The majority went in and out within a year. Many were re-entered the systems subsequently. But what is happening by 1913 is a small number of patients, known often as chronic patients, are silting up the asylum. So every year you have a small number of patients who come in and don't leave. They end up incarcerated for 10 years. And by the beginning of the 20th century, there were 24 different district lunatic asylums in Ireland. Originally it was conceived that there would be roughly 9. So if we look at, say, 1838, there are 9 district lunatic asylums. They're usually relatively small institutions. But as the century has progressed and as you enter into the beginning of the 20th century, the institutions themselves have been expanded and the number of institutions has expanded. So you have quite a large system in place by 1913 that still is under a lot of pressure for more admissions and is causing essentially a lot of panic among those responsible for its financial management as well as its medical management.